Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another video on Gems of War, and in this video I'm going to be going over which troops are worth crafting this week. So starting off with the Summoning Stones, we'll start at blue. In the blue Summoning Stones, I really can't recommend going for anything this week. Dwarven Gates are good early on in the game, but they're only white rarity. You're going to get those early on with simply gold keys. So I wouldn't recommend trying to go after anything else in here. Moving on to green. I would recommend, if you don't have Apothecary yet, that this troop definitely is worth going for. Very good troop in certain teams. What she does is transform a selected mana color to brown and then cleanses all allies, which is really good. When traded, she is immune to stun, poison, disease, deathmark, and devour. So with only a 10 mana cost, it's definitely a good troop to have. She doesn't do any damage on her own, but very good for getting mana for other troops. And that's probably the only troop that I'd recommend trying to go for in the green Summoning Stones this week. Now for red, we're kind of in a situation similar here. There really isn't anything worth going after in the higher rarities here. The only one that I could recommend if you don't have it is Deep Borer. Destroys a column, creates 9 brown gems, and then it gains armor. It has a pretty low mana cost. It's another good troop to gain brown mana for your other troops. But it's only a green rarity. Chances are you've already got it with gold keys, so I can't really recommend trying to go after it with red Summoning Stones if you already have that. Moving on to yellow, we have, I don't know, I would recommend probably if you don't have the Satyr Musician to try to get it. It's actually a pretty useful troop even later on in the game, simply because it has a silence mechanism here in its ability. It deals damage to the first 2 enemies, steals magic from them, and then silences them. So a lot of times the hero is actually in the first spot, so the Satyr Musician will actually silence the hero in most cases, unless they have an immunity to silence, which the only class that I know that has that is the Bard class. But silence is really powerful even in endgame, so even in delves and certain events. So if you don't have a Satyr Musician, I would recommend trying to get him this week. For purple Summoning Stones, there's really nothing in here that I can recommend trying to get early game. None of these troops really are that great. And moving on to the last one here, brown. Yeah, we actually do have a pretty good one in brown this week, Lady Ironbeard. She's actually pretty powerful early on if you can get her. Especially if you have other dwarf troops. If you do have the dwarf king troop, which is a legendary troop, you can put these two together and it becomes even more powerful because you got more. And plus, Dwarven Gate can be mixed with these as well. So what she does is she deals damage to an enemy, and then if the enemy's armor is weaker, she deals triple damage, and then she'll gain 5 armor. So if the armor on Lady Ironbeard is higher than the enemy, she will do triple damage, which means instead of doing 30 damage, she will do 90 damage, and that's a lot. That's a lot of damage early game. So yeah, Lady Ironbeard probably the best troop in the Summoning Stones this week. So if you don't have her in your early game, I would recommend just trying to gamble for her a couple of times, see if you can get her if you're lucky enough. Now moving on to legendary troops, we have 4 legendary troops to craft here. Queen Mab, we have Kurarg the Dread, King Bloodhammer, and King Avlorn. I would say the 2 best legendaries here are going to be your Queen Mab and your King Bloodhammer. Now, if you already have one, you could try getting the other one, but once again, I don't think that 800 diamonds is really a great trade-off for legendaries, because you can get legendaries a lot easier than you can get mythics. So I would recommend saving your diamonds for some really good mythic troops, but If you really want to get a legendary here, I would say Queen Mab or King Bloodhammer. I kind of favor King Bloodhammer simply because if you have Glaceon and you have Apothecary, and with something like Mountain Crusher weapon with a hero, that team destroys lots of teams, even in late game. So King Bloodhammer, I would go for personally out of these four if you really wanted to get a legendary this week that you didn't have with your diamonds. Now, moving on to Mythic troops, we have 4 Mythic troops here this week. We have Infernus, we have Ureli, we have Champion of Anu, and we have Obsidius. Now, out of these 4, I would definitely recommend getting Infernus. Infernus is still one of the most powerful mythics in the game, and you will not go wrong with getting Infernus. So, if you have the diamonds, 4,000 diamonds, 20,000 souls, and 10 celestial trait stones, I would definitely go ahead and get Infernus, because Infernus, like I said, is still, even at my max, not max, but even at my high level of over 1300 level, I still use Infernus quite often, whether it's in Guild Wars and PvP, during certain events. I use Infernus quite often. So I would definitely recommend getting that. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this video for this week on recommended troops to craft for. And I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching as always. Later.